client rented a Corvette for her daughter prom date in Miami, Florida.
Alright, good to go. Alright, so here is when you press that P button, everything is in park. When you lift up the reverse, there you gotta put it.
Prom videos like this will never not be funny to me. It's such an interesting disconnect because I'm like, dog, we're not even talking about graduation. If it was graduation, I could understand. But we talking about high school prom. They got the brown carpet rolled out. They got these gold things. Yo, what do you call those? I ain't gonna lie, what's the proper name? Like the line dividers, what do you call those gold things? Oh, I ain't gonna lie, I'm off topic, but I've never heard anyone say the proper name. I searched it up, they're called stanchions. No one has ever said this in their entire life. If you say you said this, you're lying. Anyway, back to the topic. They got the entire neighborhood out to see one dude go to prom. First of all, W support system, y'all, that's crazy. But this is such an odd disconnect to me because they're not really celebrating anything. Touching prom isn't an achievement, so I'm confused here. Like, if it was graduation, again, I understand. But we talking about an event where they're just gonna go hang out with friends, dance, and have fun. I did not know prom was that serious. Like, am I going insane? Am I losing my mind with age? I'm 4 years removed from high school. And even back then, I don't know a single person who celebrated that hard about prom or even graduation. Hey man, more power to y'all, it's y'all's life. But I'd really like someone to explain what the big deal is.
Half a year of EBT for this. Hope those young stunners enjoy it.
I don't know who's to blame here. Society, social media, idolizing celebrities, and thinking cosplaying as rich people for a night is anything meaningful. It's so stupid. The cars, yeah, they're rentals. The suits, the dresses, they're all rentals. You spend all this money for one night just to look and appear rich, but then are waking up in the same bed without all of this the next day. Probably having less money because you spent it all to pretend and dress up as rich people. It's really, really sad.
So when do we start having to use cars as accessories to our dresses for prom? Like, and now we're making music videos about prom. And what are you gonna do with this dress? How are you even gonna dance? Nobody can even dance by you. And what is this? Like a peacock and shit? What has this world come to with these proms? It don't even rain inside. Why did you need an umbrella to match your dress? Isn't it bad luck to have an umbrella inside? Now girl, how are you gonna dance with your man? Are you gonna bring your mom and your pops to hold your dress all night? Like, let's be for real. Everybody gonna be stepping on it or using it as a blanket. Now, if this we and his 5-year-olds go to prom in goats, what the hell do you need a damn goat for to go with your 5-year-old?
Let's be real for a second. When did prom turn into a full production like this? I'm watching a clip, Corvette pulled up, people lined up outside, phones out, whole scene looking like a red carpet event. And I had to stop and really think about what I was looking at because this isn't just a kid going to a school dance anymore. This is a full-on presentation. And that shift matters, whether people want to admit it or not. Now, I understand wanting to celebrate your kids. I understand wanting to create a moment they'll remember. There's nothing wrong with that at all. But here's where it starts to feel off. This doesn't feel like celebration. It feels like performance. And those are two very different things because when something becomes performance-based, it's no longer about the experience itself. It's about how the experience looks to other people. And that's where social media comes in and quietly changes the entire game. Now, and it's not just go enjoy prom. It's make sure it looks like something. Make sure it stands out. Make sure it gets attention. Make sure it competes with what everybody else is doing. And once that mindset kicks in, everything escalates. The cars get nicer. The outfits get bigger. The crowds get larger. And before you know it, a simple moment turns into something that feels like it needs a budget, a plan, and an audience. And that's why I think a lot of people are starting to question, What are we really doing here?
It's prom season, which means one thing and one thing only, Hood Prom. And I think what a lot of people fail to realize is Hood Prom and baby mama culture are like this. You can't have one without the other. You can't have Hood Prom or the baby shower stuff or the gender reveals or anything like that without baby mama culture. Because the reason why the dresses are so extravagant in the cars, in the show, in the presentation is because this is the closest these girls will ever get to being a bride. In the black community, I'm sorry to say it, actually, no, I'm not, because it's the truth, especially in lower income households, there's not as much of an emphasis on family anymore. These kids aren't getting married. They're going to be baby mamas and baby daddies, so they're never going to have a wedding. These girls are never going to walk down the aisle. Some of them probably will, but the majority of them will never be a wife. They will never be a bride, so they'll never have a wedding. That's why the dresses remind you of big, beautiful wedding dresses. These kids are substituting their wedding with prom.
Now, this part matters. Prom is not an achievement, it's an event. And that distinction is not small, it's everything because achievements are built through discipline, consistency, and effort over time. Graduating, learning a skill, building something that produces value, becoming dependable, becoming someone people can count on. That's real life progress. Prom is just a moment, and there's nothing wrong with enjoying it. But when you start treating moments like milestones, you start putting the wrong kind of weight on things that don't actually move your life forward. Think about it. If you're spending thousands of dollars for one night, renting a car you don't own, wearing something you're not keeping, creating an image that disappears the next day, what did you actually build? And again, I'm not telling anybody what they can or can't do with their money, but let's not avoid the real question. Is it wise? Because there's a difference between spending money and building wealth. And a lot of people get caught in that gap without even realizing it. Let me give you something deeper here because this is where the real game is being played. There are basically three ways people use money. Some people use money just to survive. They're covering bills, trying to make it month to month. No real margin. Some people use money to impress. They want the look, the image, the moment, the attention, even if it's temporary. And then there are people who use money to build. They're focused on ownership, skills, assets, long-term positioning. And those three paths lead to completely different lives. And here's a line I want you to really sit with, right? I want you guys to sit with this line. When you can clearly see your future, you start acting with urgency in your present. That's not just a quote, that's a principle. Because clarity changes behavior. When you actually know where you are going, you stop feeding the need to prove something right now. You stop chasing every moment and you start moving with intention.
One thing and one thing only, Hood Prom. And I think what a lot of
This particular video rubbed me in the wrong way in so many ways. Like the caucasity of it all, to say that prom is related to baby mama culture, to say that prom is hood prom and it's low income. It's a rite of passage. That's what prom has always been. A rite of passage after 14 years in the screwed up educational system of the US, right? The same rite of passage that the quinceañera has, where they dress how they want, they celebrate how they want, and no one says anything about that. But you chose to pick this moment to say that it relates to baby mama culture and that these girls will never be married, and that's why they are dressed the way that they're dressed, because they'll never experience wearing a wedding dress. But let's also point out you sitting on that couch looking real lonely rubbing a cat. But anyway, so what makes you think that, besides having the right to say this, that baby mama culture and proms go together? When did prom not become a celebration? And then you talking about the way that they're dressed. Style has evolved over the years. So how they dressed in 1980, how they dressed in 1990, how they dressed in 2000, and how they dress today for prom is not going to look the same. Hell, even these wedding dresses you're speaking of have evolved in the way things look. So I want to know how anybody else feels about her saying that our proms are baby mama culture.
Excuse the audio family. The audio is low on her end in the way that she recorded this video with low value. But now I want to get to this next clip because that was a response, and this is the backlash that we get into in regards of the young woman who basically had a productive conversation. I feel as though she were trying to get to in regards of, like I mentioned, what are you doing for the future while you're still present in the moment? Because at the end of the day, back to my quote, you have to understand that when you clearly see your future, you start acting with urgency in the present. And that's the conversation, at least I'm going with in regards to the matter. But having a productive conversation, I want you guys to see another clip in regards to the backlash.
And I just want to know who came up with the term hood prom season. Because I've never been to any prom send-offs in the hood. They are usually around neighborhoods where the homes are at least about $500,000 or more, and these folks are not struggling for money. And they're able to send their kids off to college. The thing I hate about the internet is they like to group everybody under one umbrella, and that's not how that works. Everybody did not spend their rent money to be able to send their kids off to prom in a nice way. And that's if you, like I said, if that's how they decided to do prom for their children, that's their business. You know what I mean? Yes, they put it on the internet. Yes, some of us may think it's crazy. I've never done it with my money, but the ones that I've been to, they weren't struggling. So regardless of the fact, if that's what they wanted to do with their money, that's their business. But coming online and saying that you wouldn't spend money on something that you probably couldn't afford in the first place, like how is that? Why do we need a think piece on that? Like that's the equivalent of me saying that I'm gonna go. I would never buy a Bentley when I've never been in the market to buy a Bentley. If you don't have the money for it, which a lot of people who are making these think pieces, you just don't. You know, I mean, sometimes it's just not in your budget, and it's okay. But I don't understand why are we grouping everybody into one umbrella, and how does that affect you? Let's make it make sense. Let's talk about some issues that really might help something.
Like, I'm sitting out here sweating, but I want to make this point. The comments regarding Black Prom and the comments that's up and down on those videos, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. And it's, to see some black people dogpiling on those comments underneath those videos is also very upsetting, because black people, we don't do things status quo. We don't conform to the confines of being rigid in our celebrations, even in our mourning. Like, think about it. We can have a funeral at 11 a.m., boo-hoo-hoo-hoo-hoo, crying over our loved one, and by 3 p.m., we're at the repast with a plate full of food and a drink, doing the electric slide. Like, we just don't do things the same way that other people do things. We don't dress the same way that other people dress. We're very colorful people. We like wearing colors. We like showing out in our outfits. If we got a new outfit, we gonna show out. Like, that's just how we do things. And so Black Prom, which is being called ghetto prom because of, racism, that's no different. Like, we're gonna do prom differently. We're gonna do prom extravagantly. Like, that's just what we do. That's just who we are. It's in our DNA. And like, some of the comments, the main comment, let me say this, that pisses me off is like, I bet you their grades aren't up, or I bet you they didn't get into a good school or get into any school or a work program or whatever. Like, let me tell you something. Christmas used to be taken away from us. And I'm only speaking for black people because I've only ever been black, right? Christmas used to be taken away from us if our grades weren't right when we were children, right? So if Christmas used to be taken away from us when our grades weren't good, or our grades weren't in good standing or right when we were children, what makes you think that our parents are going to spend $25,000 on a prom send-off and you're failing all of your classes? You have no prospects of going to college or anything. Like, what makes you think that black parents are going to spend $25,000 on a prom send-off and you're not doing your part? What I'm trying to say is, let these kids enjoy their prom. Leave them alone. Let them enjoy their prom. Stop being in the comments talking about, oh, they're probably not going to get married, so this is taking the place of. Like, stop speaking that negativity. And I'm talking to black people now, because a lot of y'all speaking negativity over our children and over our next generation. But I rebuke it, okay? If those black kids who are having $25,000 proms and prom send-offs, if they want to get married, I pray that the Lord will send them the right person. I pray that they would get married and that they would have a strong, healthy, and happy marriage, okay? Stop speaking negativity over the next generation of our people. Like, y'all are dogpiling. It's like our people. Y'all are dogpiling alongside of the people who don't even like you, don't even like the fact that you exist or that you are even breathing. Like, come on, get it together.
And this is where the conversation gets real, because The clearer your vision is, the less you're pulled into a performance. You're not trying to look successful, you're trying to become successful, and those are two completely different paths. One is temporary, one compounds over time. Now, to be fair, there are people who will say, look, families just want to celebrate their kids, not everybody is struggling, some people can afford it. You heard that. And that's true. That's a fair point. But even with that being true, the principle still doesn't change. Just because you can do something doesn't mean it's always the best move to take or make. And that's where wisdom comes in. Because if we're being honest, a lot of what we're seeing today is driven by social pressure more than anything else. People are watching each other, comparing, trying to feel not left out, trying to keep up, and social media amplifies that to another level. Because now you're not comparing your real life to someone else's real life. You're comparing your everyday to their highlight reel on social media. And that will push you into decisions that feel right in the moment, but don't hold up long term. And this goes for all people. And this is where it doesn't add up. We'll go all out for one night, but we don't always bring that same energy to things that actually build a future, like financial discipline, education, skill, development, and long term planning. And again, this doesn't apply to everyone, but it's a pattern that shows up enough to talk about. And patterns matter because over time, patterns turn into outcomes.
Let me tell you something right now. I am just about tired, sick and tired of the racism in these Hood Prom TikToks. Genuinely, tell me every single time I open up the comment section of one of these like Hood Prom videos, right? People are in there talking about GPA breakdown next, 10K for prom, 0K for college. Whoa, 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 whoa. Slow down, because how do you know that? Are you in their bank account? Do you know how they're financing college? Are you in their infinite campus? Do you know their grades? Are you their mother? Are you their father? Right now. So you're just assuming that about them. Why are we doing all that? Because, okay, to be completely honest, right, I would not spend $3K on a prom dress. I wouldn't. For me, I think that's a waste of money, right? Because I can get a dress that I really, really love for $500. But also it's because I don't got $3K sitting around to spend on a dress. I don't got that dumb money, right? And that's fine. That's fine that I think that's stupid. But notice how I'm not hating on other people for doing it because, mind you, it's their money, right? It's their money. But now, let's say that I did have $3K laying around for a dress, $2K for the car, $1K for the photographer. Let's say I did have that type of money, and I went and I did that, right? Would y'all be up in my comments talking about, oh, GPA breakdown next? Yeah, you would. And it's crazy. It's crazy because, mind you, I have a 4.0 unweighted. I have a 4.5, 4.6 weighted. I don't even know because it gets higher every day, right? I got myself together. I'm involved in my school, right? So y'all go assuming all this is about other people because they dress a certain way, because they look a certain way. Whenever they could easily just as well have a higher GPA than you, right? Right. And on that note, like y'all are also saying, even if you do have the money, right, you know, maybe you just think it's a waste of money, which I understand, right? Because I just said I thought it was a waste of money, but I'm sure that you do a lot of stupid stuff every day that's also a waste of money, right? Every time I see people bring in a boyfriend or girlfriend on their vacation, on their family vacation, and they've been dating them for 2 months, I think that's a waste of money. Because I'm like, y'all are about to break up next month, right? But so many people do it, and I keep my thoughts to myself because, you know, it's their money, and if they want to bring their boyfriend that they're going to break up with in a month on the vacation with their whole family, go for it. It ain't my money. I ain't bringing my man on vacation to you, my husband, but that's just me, right? That's just me. That's how I was raised. People are raised different. So you can mind your own and let them mind their own and stop being racist. Why people do stupid stuff every day, but nobody's in their comments talking about GPA breakdown, you know, you have money for this, but no money for college. Let the black people live. Let the black people live. Let them do their Hood Prom. Let them go all out. And if you don't have anything nice to say, keep it to yourself. Keep it to yourself. I'm tired of people being openly racist. If you're racist, keep it in your head, I guess. Like, just like stop. Like, I'm
Take a look at this video and let's talk about it on the other side. And here are the comments. Treating prom like it's an achievement. Parents just as goofy. Tell Drewski to make a skit out of this. I knew the stack of money was coming. Future Amazon employee. The big leagues are coming, bro. You gotta choose. And there's different hats like Amazon, McDonald's, Subway, Wingstop. 20K on prom, 0K on college fund. Sounds like hating to me. Lil bro already got that Amazon blue on. I am formally accepting my offer to prom. If your response to that video was, this is ghetto, let's see his grades, I bet he's failing, he'll be working at Amazon soon, like some of those individuals in the comments, then you are showing your anti-blackness. When I watch this video, I see a black family celebrating their black son. Black families are often demonized in this country. They tell us that black fathers are absent. Yet I see a black father here loving his son. They say black families grow up in the ghetto. Yet I see a black family in a nice home in a nice neighborhood. Was it flashy? Sure. Are we flashy people? Yes. I, for one, will always celebrate black joy in whatever form it comes in, because oftentimes in America, black joy is labeled ghetto. That is how anti blackness works. It will have you observing a black family celebrate their son expressing black joy and automatically have you thinking negative thoughts.
And I'm just gonna say the quiet part out loud. Y'all jealous of these kids going to prom because you didn't have that experience. You're jealous. Okay, even if you're not jealous, because that may be a stretch. Even if you're not jealous, I'm just trying to understand, why are y'all so upset about the fact that these kids and their parents, because the kids don't have the money, why are you upset that their parents are celebrating a milestone in their child's life? You don't know what that parent had to go through to get that kid from elementary, middle to high school. You don't know the obstacles that they had to overcome. You don't know what the parent was going through that the child had to endure with them in order to make it successfully to this point inside of their life. Also, you don't know the lineage of their family. Some of these students are literally the first generation high school student in their family. Yes, in 2026, there are still some kids who are first generation high school graduates because of their circumstances. And you mean to tell me that you're upset that their parents are spending money to send them off to prom? At the end of the day, we all, when we was going to prom, went above and beyond as well. We got our hair done, we got our nails done, we got the dresses, we met up with friends, we rented cars, we did the things. It probably wasn't to the magnitude of these kids, but we also didn't have social media to play inside of it. Yes, we had MySpace and Facebook and stuff like that, but it wasn't to the caliber of what it is now. And to add to that, a lot of these kids become viral and become well-known content creators just from their prom content in itself. So I don't understand what the big deal is. No, we didn't have social media to play a part inside of our stuff like that, but this is content for them. This is a memory that's gonna go on the internet, and y'all say this all the time. The internet lives forever. This is something that they want to remember forever, and there shouldn't be a problem with that. And when we talk about what kids want to remember forever, most of the movies that you see from back in the day, and they talking about the prom and stuff like that or whatever, people make these huge grandiose plans for the prom because it is a coming of age for all people that have the opportunity and the luxury to actually attend a prom. What makes them any different? In addition to that, for y'all to scream out that like the prom to baby shower pipeline is real, I disagree with that 1,000%. Y'all are comparing apples to oranges. I don't understand. What does going to prom have to do with being a baby mama? Like, it doesn't add up to me. The prom to baby shower pipeline, like what? Most people grow up, they like graduate high school, or the standard is to graduate high school, which means you go to prom, graduation, all that sort of stuff. Then you become an adult, then you live your adult life, you work, and then you have kids, you get a family, like you get married, you have kids and stuff like that. Isn't the goal to go to prom and to have baby showers at some point in your life? Like, the logic there is not adding up to me. So maybe somebody sound off in my comments to make that part make sense to me, but I don't get it. I still feel like y'all jealous because these kids are going above and beyond as if it's not a milestone. And I was talking to some of my friends about it, and I said, when it comes to me and I plan to go and make sure my kid has a good time if they want a great prom send-off. I think it's crazy for each person to have their own individual one. I do miss the days of seeing like kids come together to take pictures at each other's houses, but I don't understand why people are upset that they're having these elaborate send-offs. You don't get mad at the Jewish kids when they have bar mitzvahs and bar mitzvahs and they spending thousands of dollars on that. You don't get mad at the Hispanic family when they spending a bunch of money on quinceañeras. You don't get mad at the Caucasian family or the black families that do debutante balls, etc. You don't get mad at none of that stuff, but you're upset that these kids don't have access or opportunities to do any of those things. And so this is their coming of age moment, going to prom. And so their parents are spending the money to send them off. Why are y'all so upset? Calling it hood prom season, this is a coming of age. This is a part of our culture, and stop hating on it, whether you get it or not. This is their season. They are the prom, babe. Those that get it, get it. The girls that don't. Ultimately, just let the kids live. Just let them live. Period.
All right, family. So let's take it one step further, because this is where the analogy really hits. Imagine two people at the same starting point, same age, same background, same opportunities, One person spends $5,000 to $10,000 creating a moment that looks like success for a night. The other person takes that same money and puts it into something that grows. Maybe it's a learning high income skill. Maybe it's starting something small. Maybe it's investing stocks and just letting it build over time, just sitting there as a 20-year-old or, you know, I should say 18, 19, 20-year-old, have $1,000 saved up and they just put it in the stock market. Maybe it's just building a financial cushion so they're not living under pressure all the time. Now, fast forward a few years. One person has a memory and some pictures. The other person has leverage, options, and momentum. And that's the difference most people don't think about in the moment, because in the moment, the spotlight feels real, the attention feels real, the validation feels real, but long term. And I mentioned the young woman with the cat, and I feel like, okay, for some individuals, it may be seen as attacking. I don't feel like her intention was to attack anyone. I feel like it was just, no matter what the race, from all individuals, um, speaking in regards of this matter of just having a productive conversation and just not living in the moment to the point where you are not living intentional, to understand that we are in a time like AI where information is moving fast, so fast that even when you graduate from college, the information you learn from college is way over past due. Because now there's new information already being passed with AI and everything going on, where you have to continue to be up with the times, to continue to evolve, to continue to be able to adapt, which is the beauty and the beauty of human nature and us as humans ourselves. And I just think the importance of that's mostly being talked about here is wanting to see future generations continue to succeed while also enjoying your moments, but also don't let the moments overtake you where you're intentionally going in the future. Because just overall, it doesn't matter. Take the race thing out. I'm talking objectively. All generations. We all know that the next generation, from a standpoint when it comes to education, and a majority based on the results that have been talked about, that when it comes to education in the next generation and throughout the whole United States, that reading and basic skills such as math, reading, and writing has gone down. Right. And I think that just pushes the envelope, because the next generation will also be eventually, or they are at the forefront of innovation. I should say, not eventually, they are. And we're in a time where information is passing so fast that you want to make sure that you're being intentional while being flexible, making sure that you're setting yourself up to have leverage to be able to seize the moment so you can already be prepared so you don't have to get prepared. Right. And this is why that principle hits so hard. When you can clearly see your future, you start acting different today. You don't move off of pressure, you move off of purpose. You don't spend time, you don't spend to impress people who don't really care. You build in a way that actually changes your life. And again, this isn't about saying don't celebrate. It's about making sure your celebration doesn't come at the cost of your foundation. Because a lot of people want the appearance of success before they build the structure that can actually hold it. And that's backwards. So when it comes to this prom send-off things, right? Or prom send-off like this, don't just look at the surface. Don't just focus on the car or the outfit. Ask the deeper question. What mindset is behind this? Which I believe that was the young woman whole topic of the conversation I'm saying. And this could be a productive, beautiful conversation, even if you agree to disagree. That's why we having it right now, family. Is it about not only the mindset behind this, but is it about creating a meaningful moment, or is it about creating an image? Is it celebration or is it validation? Because those two paths don't lead to the same place. You know what I'm saying, family? I just want to put that out there. They don't lead to the same place. From my perspective, the goal should always be balance. Enjoy your life. Celebrate your moments. Make memories, but stay grounded in reality. Don't let one night cost you long-term stability. Imagine if the money you spent now could deter you or stop you or delay you from having long-term stability 10 years backwards instead of 10 years forward. Don't let the social media define your standards, and don't confuse attention with achievement, because they are not the same thing. Real wealth, real progress, real success, it's not loud the way people think it is. It's built quietly, it's built consistently, It's built over time through decisions that don't always get applause. And that's why a lot of people miss it because they're chasing what looks good instead of what actually works. So here's the takeaway: keep things in perspective, understand what actually builds your future and what just looks good for a day. Because at the end of the day, one night doesn't define your life, but your habits do, your mindset does, your decisions do. And the sooner you see your future clearly, the faster you'll start moving with purpose right now. If you got value out of this, go ahead and like and comment and subscribe and let me know what you think, because this is one of those conversations where thinking matters more than reacting. But I catch you in the next one, family. Spread that peace, love, and positivity. Peace.